So first of all, how are you today? You were at hospital this morning.
I was in hospital this morning, yes. It's one of the things about getting old. You find yourself going to hospitals and stuff like that a lot more than you used to. Now, I spent a lot of time in hospitals anyway, as from my day job, as it were. I always like to. It's from the sick and the suffering that I get in great enthusiasm, and they give you a perspective on life and everything else. That has always been my case, because when I was in Dublin, I was parish priest in Mount Argus in Dublin for a long number of years, and it was the early days of the hospice in Harold's Cross. At the end of the day, I used to go down and talk to the patients, and it was a really lovely thing to do. And the patients thought that I was helping them, which I hope I was, but they were helping me too. Because if you're going to die tonight, tomorrow or next week, you get a different perspective of life. And what we used to try and do in the hospice is, you don't think about when you're going to die, think about how well you can live while you're alive today, and try and get as much as you can out of that. And that's what I used to do. So I find myself going into hospitals a lot, but now I get called into hospitals. Yeah. Your health fades, but I'm great to be around. I've dealt with all sorts of things, but I'm great to be around. Which was a lovely controlling thing. I had cancer recently, and the consultant was talking to me about it, and he said, he said, if I were you, Brian, I wouldn't worry too much about the cancer. He says, the heart will take you first. Now,
bedside manner.
I like guys like that, I just think that's it. I said, thanks very much, that's good. So, in other words, get the will made anyways. Not that I've anything to leave to anybody.
Do you feel mortal now? Do you feel...
It's wonderful. Funny enough, I always did feel mortal.
Did you?
I always felt mortal. Felt mortal a lot of times because, you see, my mother died when I was 19.
Right.
I entered here in 1962, and she died in 1965. I had seen her once in the process since that. She was an extraordinarily healthy woman, and she was very, very good. And I saw her once when she came to my profession here. And I didn't see her after that until I saw her in hospital. And I got home the night before she died. I was told the night before she died. To see her, and I, of course, had no wit to see that she was dying. Some of the rest of the family had to tell me, because that's what happens when you get frozen in an institution at 17. Your ability to judge yourself against the rest of reality disappears and dissipates. And it's a brainwashing process, was then, not so much now. And so we were part of that. And so I remember going into my mother the night before she died, on the 26th of May 1965, and chatting as if she was going to be around forever, knowing that the woman was struggling to even breathe with pain. And so the next morning she died. And so that kind of always made me very aware that mortality is around the corner. It was a very severe thing. It was about 2 years later I began to really have serious things about it. Linked into a whole lot of stuff at that stage. I suppose it was around the time also that I was coming through an abuse thing, and then you begin, this is the weird thinking of an abused person, you begin to think, was it because I was abused that she had died? Now, what about that for a weird view of God and mentality and stuff like that? But that's what happens in an abused person's mind. You think you're to blame for everything in life. The wisest thing I've ever heard from a man, real stuff.
Facing it.
Facing it. I'd like to die quick.
But not soon.
But not soon.